So I just want to encourage you to start. Whatever you're thinking about doing, you should just do it today and start out really small, but just keep doing it. You know, the one thing that I realized with the Reciprocity Project was if I don't start, I always wanted to create something like this. And that was actually my dream. It was literally my dream when I was 20 years old. I remember having these conversations when I was in my first year engineering program with a couple of my other students that were there. So, one of them became my best man at my wedding, about these sort of inventions that we were going to create. One of them was a GPS tracker when your car crashed, and then it would alert somebody. Well, it turned out, 5 years later, that was invented with OnStar. And then I built a software when I think I was just finishing my engineering program. I built a software to do robotic trading, and it was optimizing using an optimization program to pick stocks. Well, if I would have stayed with that, that would have actually turned into something, and it would have turned into something really big. And I stopped. I sort of built this little piece of software, and then I walked on to something else, instead of pushing with it. And that's when I started the Reciprocity Project. I had this sort of inspiration. And I remember talking to, in my undergrad, I remember talking to other people where I was going to create this consulting firm that would solve other people's problems, and you would do it once and for all using software. And it was always there in terms of building this thing. And so when I finally realized that my life was not going to change, it was going to push entrepreneurship and push innovation out, because that's what academics does. That's what research does. I mean, you do an awful lot of research, but it's not research and doing different things that you might think it is. And so at my third year of when I was assistant professor, and this is a really risky time, I was like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm actually going to create this new innovation, because I thought it was actually an important thing to do. And at the time, I thought, hey, you know what? My institution would probably support entrepreneurship, and it did very briefly in the brief moment. But it's all up to you to do this. So, if you're doing something, what I want you to say is never going to get better, and it doesn't, never ever gets better. It's never a good time to do something. It's like a baby, right? Like having a baby. It's never a good time to have a baby, and you just simply have to start with it. And what you have to also remember, it's going to take an awful lot of time and work to actually get there. And that's the thing with this, right? That that this is all taking a lot of time. It's a lot of work. And I want to show other people what it means to do these kind of things, because you're incrementally doing something. And that's where you just incrementally keep growing and keep doing something no matter what happens. I think that that is an important message for everybody to understand, is that you don't get to someplace overnight. You really don't. It does not happen. I've gone on all of the platforms, and I don't explode overnight. It doesn't happen where I become this instant celebrity. No matter what you might think, that is not the default. That is a really rare situation where that happens. Most of the time, it's just grinding work over and over and over again. And I think we need to sort of realize that, man, it is time and time again. It's just grinding work, just putting in the time, putting in the time, putting in the time every single day, no matter what is happening, until actually something starts to click and something actually happens. But it doesn't clicks like all of a sudden everything changes. It clicks as like one little baby thing happens, and then a month later another little baby thing happens, and it does that over and over and over again. And so whatever you're doing and whatever you're working on, I want you to realize that, man, it is the journey. And you have to start early. You have to keep going. And it doesn't matter how old that you actually are, whether you were, I was my late 30s when I started this. I'm now 42. And it doesn't matter. My goal, so I started this in my late 40s or late 30s. My goal is to actually have something that's functioning that will actually, be self-sustaining by the time I'm in my 50s. And you might think, oh my gosh, that's 10 years, 15 years, that's insane, right? But guess what? Who else has ever done that? Who knows what it actually means to do this? Name somebody that you know that has actually done something like this and has actually turned into something. I know I'm going to be doing it and I'm actually going to create something. I know what the reality is. I know what the actual statistics are to create something like this, and it ain't great. So what I do know is I've got time and I got effort on my side. And in those two things, maybe I die before all this is done. Well, then I just don't see what the end outcome is. But if I keep doing this until I'm in my 50s, and I know that this is going to be something. So if you are in your early 20s and you're thinking about doing something, realize you're not going to have something in your early 20s. It's probably by the time that you're in your 30s, probably in your 40s, where it's actually going to become something that you are proud of, and other people are going to say, "Oh my gosh, you did this, you did that." Yes, that's the way it actually works every single time. And I'm going to devote all my time and effort to this, other than the time that I spend working and with my kids, and exercising. It's always going to be doing this. It's always going to be building this thing out. It's always going to be trying to help you. It's always, 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 until I actually create something that other people will say, hey, look at this. This is truly amazing. Reciprocity Project actually does work. The platform works right now. I use it and I'm going to keep building it out and adding more things and adding more things and adding more things. And it's going to be incredible. I'm gonna keep putting out all this content because I need other people to see what is going on. I need you to know that this takes a lot of work, and you need to realize that when you're doing something like this, it does not happen overnight. It is a journey that you go through. It's painful, it sucks, and you got to keep doing it every single day. And it is non-stop grinding. I need you all to realize that it's just non-stop grinding every single day. And once you get into that habit of doing it every single day, things happen. Now, it's not just within entrepreneurship that this matters. It's everything else in your life. Doesn't matter what you're on and doing. It's the effort that you put in. And yes, there's a lot of days it feels like Groundhog Day, where it's the same thing every day. But guess what? That is the secret to life, is that you do it no matter what ends up happening. You do it over and over and over again until 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 years that things start to click. You never get to the Olympics just by showing up the day of the Olympics. You get to the Olympics by putting in the effort for 15, 20 years, and then all of a sudden something happens. So I want you to remember this. It's just grinding work every single day and keep doing it, not forgetting or not pushing everything else and forgetting about all of this sort of silliness of like your self-doubts. You can't do this. You're not going to get there. You will get there. It's just time and effort, time in and time out. And I think you need to all remember that. If you want to create something and do something new, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a decade, over 2 decades, over 3 decades, where you create something that is pretty cool. And I think you could do it. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.